More than 5 years after Al-Qaeda affiliate Al-Shabaab officially withdrew from Mogadishu, security in Somalia's capital remains extremely tight. And as elections approach, the atmosphere is even more tense than usual. Mohammed Dahir controls security through much of the presidential quarter.
You cannot pass. You cannot pass. You will not be allowed in any way.
The threat is at its highest here.
We have beefed up security. For the elections, we will protect the candidates. As you see, we have blocks everywhere. All of Mogadishu is secure. The police and the security forces are launching operations to prevent the enemy from hindering the elections. The security is under iron-handed control.
There is good reason for caution. Al-Shabaab regularly infiltrates the city. Its tactics often involve a suicide bomber attacking in a vehicle packed with explosives, with gunmen following up on foot. That's what happened at this hotel in late January. The initial explosion was so big that it all but demolished buildings on the opposite side of the street to the target. 28 died, many more were injured. When emergency workers and others rushed to the scene, a secondary device exploded. This journalist was caught in the second blast.
The explosive fragments entered my leg from this side and penetrated right through the other side, fracturing the bones.
Somalia remains a very dangerous country for local journalists.
Almost all Somali journalists are under threat, and we cannot always be sure where the threat comes from, whether it's from the government or Al-Shabaab.
The much-delayed presidential election takes place on Wednesday. Members of Parliament and the Senate will select a head of state from a field of over 20 candidates. One of the challengers, who leads a movement called One Nation, claims that the electoral process is heavily marred by corruption.
Now the MPs have been selected. They are ready to vote, and various candidates, particularly those in the power right now, are using resources, a way to bribe the MPs. We're talking about a substantial amount of money. And keep in mind, this is practice taking place when millions of Somalis are dying hunger.
The election campaign is far, very far, from being the centre of most Somalis' attention. Hundreds of thousands of people have fled war and famine over the last quarter of a century. Many live in ramshackle camps.
It doesn't concern us whether this president will come back or not. We are poor people, we are displaced people, we just need help. Whatever president is elected, we just need help.
This old lady, 73, ekes out a living sewing baskets. She is more upbeat than most people here.
I expect a brighter future for my grandchildren and prosperity. I wish they could go to school, they would have a better future, if God wills it.
Despite massive poverty, there has been progress. Until August 2011, Al-Shabaab controlled most of the city. Nowadays, young people here flock to the beach for leisure. These girls are at college, studying business and administration. They believe their lives will continue to improve.
Before there was no order, there was just chaos. But now all the candidates are finishing their campaigns in an orderly manner, so we expect prosperity. All the candidates are finishing their campaigns.
Somalia is perhaps the ultimate failed state. Can the election help end that dubious accolade? Some here clearly believe so.
Well, today's Focus report coming from our correspondents, as you just saw there, in the capital, Mogadishu. To talk more, though, Roland Marchal is from the top French university, Sciences Po. He joins us on set. Very good afternoon to you. Lovely to have you. We heard in that report that Somalia remains Africa's most failed state. The state's essentially lost control of its sovereign territory. How realistically, what can these elections really do?
Well, first, the election means that this country is nearly won. Actually, not exactly won, because the case of Somaliland hasn't been addressed neither by the international community nor by the Somalis themselves. But certainly there is a sense of unity. There is as well, I think, a purpose against Shabab to prove that whatever is happening on the battlefield, the large majority of the country, I'm not saying all the country, is willing to move in a certain direction. And though Shabab still keeps support from a section of the population, is really now in minority. And maybe the third one is, despite everything, to prove that in 4 years, the cornerstone of a political apparatus and a state apparatus have been built by the current president, Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud.
Now, you touched there on perhaps the main extremist group, which is Al-Shabaab, currently operating in Somalia. After costly foreign intervention, how is it that the group manages to infiltrate the city so regularly? We saw last week another hotel explosion.
Well, intending the international community, the regional state, and a part of the Somalis, have made the same basic systemic mistake to believe that you could defeat militarily such a movement. Shabab is a political organization. He has a political project for Somalia, which is not very clear, but certainly it's a political project that is, for many people in this country, much clearer actually than what the government or the international community would like to achieve. And then he's using terror methods. Nobody is arguing against that, but certainly he's not the only one. And so people have to make their daily life knowing that, okay, Shabab is not nice, but you know how to deal with them. And certainly Shabab, in a certain way, is more trustful than the government army, for instance. And AMISOM, the African Union Force, as well, is now recurrently misbehaving in front of the population. I'm not blaming them because they achieved so much in Somalia, but yet there is a problem with AMISOM, which is both linked on his military capabilities, on his legitimacy in regard to the population, and as well in the regional competitions that is expressed so clearly in the mismanagement of many operations launched by the AMISOM leadership.
Some countries may have difficulties stopping extremism because of a weak police force, perhaps a weaker army. Somalia has no whatsoever national institutions. How come it's taken such a while to build those up?
Well, the difference with many other conflicts is the social fabric of the country has actually recovered very quickly. So it's source of many problems, but as well it's a safety net. It provides a way to redefine social relations without getting to weapons or coercion. They have the same religion. They have certainly a same nationalism that is sometimes xenophobic, no doubt about it, but as well will provide a sense of unity in certain moments. So, yes, formally there is very little notional state apparatus. Yet we have to understand that it's not anarchy as such. The market is working pretty well. The attempt to rebuild some kind of social bonds as well. The question is sometimes that the new state is not working properly to achieve local reconciliation and to promote maybe a political offer that could compete with Shabab's one.
As long as radical Islamists have targeted Somalia as an area of expansion, can the country hope to move forward?
Yes, I think what impressed me, I'm someone who has spent his professional life traveling in conflict areas. What really impressed me in Somalia, especially in Mogadishu, is the resilience of the population. is the fact that whatever happens in the morning, people will start building in the afternoon, because they want a life. They want a life for themselves. They want a life for their kids, and there is no way anybody, whether it will be Shabab or a coercive state, will, impeach that, will, contrast that. So, this is a very strong argument. The fact that you have such a resilience doesn't mean, of course, that they will be able to build by themselves political institutions, state institutions that would, work efficiently over the country for the years to come. But let us say it's a long process, maybe, and the key issue maybe would be to acknowledge that still Somalia is at war with the movement, and that if you want to make peace, you need to make peace with your enemies, not your friends.
Okay, a lengthy fight ahead, but as you say, resilience from the Somali people. Roland Marchal from Sciences Po, thank you very much for speaking to us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to take a very short break, but we'll be back with more international headlines. You're watching Live from Paris. Do stay tuned.